Hello, so today I will talk about Ideal Lover from the book called Art of Seduction. There are two types. The first one is romantic ideal, the second one is the beauty ideal, but today I mostly focus on the beauty ideal because there's some beautiful example of true beauty ideal. Ideal lover is rare in the modern world because it takes effort. You will have to focus intensely on the other person and recognize what she's missing and what he's disappointed by in his life. People often reveal this in subtle ways through gestures, tone of voice, and look in the eye. To create this effect requires patience, attention to detail. Most people are so wrapped up in their own desires, so impatient, they are incapable of the ideal lover role. Ideal lovers are really successful seducers because they know what the other person wants and deeply desires, because everyone has a deep desire hidden under their skin and always secretly want that dream come true. So, ideal lovers are good at finding out that and give what other people's missing in their lives. If somebody wants novelty, ideal lovers give them adventure. If somebody needs an intellectual stimulation, ideal lovers have a beautiful conversation with their victims. But I would like to talk about the beauty ideal today, mostly. In 1730, when Jeanne Poussin was 9 years old, fortune teller predicted one day she would be the mistress of Louis XV. Prediction was quite ridiculous since she came from middle class and her father was a rake. Her mother had been a courtesan. Luckily for her, one of her mother's lovers was a great wealthy man and paid for her education. Shana learned to sing, play, dance, and act, and also introduced to the act of the conversation. She was schooled in literature and history as if she were a boy. On top of it all, Jana was beautiful, had a charm, had grace that set her apart early on. In 1741, she married a man of lower nobility. She opened a salon. All of the great writers and philosophers of the time visited the salon and became the regulars because of her charm. Through all her success, she never forgot the fortune teller's prediction and still believed she would one day conquer the king's heart. It happened. One of her husband's country estates bordered on King Louis's favorite hunting grounds. She would spy on him, find ways to cross his path, always while she happened to wear a beautiful, elegant dress, yet fetching outfit. Soon, in 1744, when his official mistress died, all of the court beauties competed to take her place, but he began to spend more and more time with Jana. He was dazzled by her beauty and charm. The same year, he made this middle-class woman his official mistress. The keen need for novelty is huge. All of the people were thinking that he would get bored with her soon. But little did they know, Jeanne's first seduction of the king wasn't the last seduction she had in mind. As time went by, the king found himself visiting his mistress more and more often. First, the room was always warm and was filled with delightful scents. There were visual lights. She always wore a different costumes, each one elegant and surprising in its own way. She loved beautiful objects, Chinese fans, golden flower pots, and every time he visited, there would be something new and enchanting to see. Her manner was always light-hearted. She was never defensive or resentful. Everything for pleasure. So this kind of really reminds me of Spectacular Siren in a way too. So I think she was a spectacular siren and also the beauty ideal because it's very theatrical. Then there were their conversation. session. He had never been really able to talk with a woman before, but she could discourse skillfully on any subject, and her voice was a pleasure to hear. And even if the conversation get boring, she would move to the piano and play a tune and sing wonderfully. If ever King seemed to bored or sad, Jeanne would propose some project, perhaps the building of a new country house. He would have to advise in the design, but the female lead was always played by the Jeanne, who was one of the finest amateur actors in France. The king became obsessed with this theater. He could barely wait for its performances. Men who had only cared for hunting and gambling was spending less and less time with his male companions and becoming great patron of the art. Indeed, he stamped the whole area with aesthetic style, which became known as Louis Quinze. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that word right or not. Year after year went by without Louis tiring of his mistress. In fact, he made her a duchess. Her power and influence extended well beyond culture into politics. For 20 years, Madame Jeanne ruled both the court and the king's heart until her death in 1764 at the age of 43. Wow. Wow, this is great. The reason why it worked so well to the Louis King, because she figured out that the Louis XV was a great man yearning to come out. His obsession with pretty young women indicated hunger for more lasting kind of beauty. Her first step was to cure his boredom. It is easy for kings to be bored. Everything they want is given to them. They seldom learn to be satisfied with what they have. But Jeanne gave him an opportunity to be a great man and build things for her and for him. For example, she proposed some projects, and also she instructed the theaters and also want him to invest his money and time to make the theater more beautiful and pleasant to his eyes. She had accustomed him to more refined pleasures. She appealed to the crushed ideals within him. He saw his aspiration to be great, a desire that, a leadership and culture. So basically, ideal lovers' tactic is to make the other person feel elevated, spiritual, more powerful, make them feel like their highest self. Wow, I like it actually. So Robert Greene says the keys to the character. Each of us carries inside us an ideal, either of what we would like to become or of what we want another person to be for us. This ideal goes back to our earliest years, what others didn't give to us, what we couldn't give to ourselves. If another person seems to have that ideal quality or to have the ability to bring it out in us, we fall in love. That's the response to ideal lovers. Okay. The key to following path of ideal lover is the ability to observe. Ignore your target's words and conscious behavior. Focus on the tone of their voice. Blush there, look there. Those signs that betray what their words won't say. Often, this ideal is expressed in contradictions. King Louis XV seemed to care only about chasing deer and young girls, but that in fact covered up his disappointment in himself. He yearned to have his nobler qualities flattered. Now we can talk about the dangers. The main danger in the role of the ideal lover are the consequences that arise if you let reality creep in. You are creating fantasy that involves an idealization of your own character. This is a very big task that takes an effort, but we are human and imperfect. If your faults are ugly enough, They will burst the bubble you have blown, and your target will rile you or wow. Think about the Jean Poison. Poison. I don't speak French. Let's go back to this, what I truly think about this seduction tactic. I would really remind somebody who's trying to use this tactic, be careful, don't fall in love with your victim too much. I would like to say to the victims that don't always speak about your past too often, too early on when you're dating someone or when you're knowing someone. It usually takes 3 months to know somebody and their habits and stuff, and I usually go on 3 to 4 dates and know somebody's good match for me. I really pay attention to their words, their expression, how they say things when they're talking, and I'm not afraid to ask really deep questions on first dates too. I'm not the type of person that I seduce them. Sometimes I truly want to try and seduce someone, but I haven't met my beautiful victim yet. You know, I want to seduce someone just naturally, be myself, not just knowing them and trying to manipulate them. And also, I think these ideal lovers are really good seducers because they can really know what you want and truly desire and go back to your childhood and just give it to you by observing you. So we have to be really careful. And nobody can play that role for a longer time, unfortunately. That's the downfall of this seduction. And yeah, for a while it's exciting, right? Like I said, don't really talk about your trauma and everything. I would really suggest you to talk to your therapist more than sharing your everything to your partner or your friends if you don't know them well, because who knows, one day you're not friends anymore. People are crazy. Careful about when it's sensitive topics and it's very fragile. We have to be careful with that. Don't always throw them on the table. No one deserves to see that fully unless you trust them. So I would say trust your intuition more. For my girls, this is how men take advantage of women and manipulate in general. They become the guy we want, but we need consistency. Don't let anybody control you using your past, especially your childhood. So please follow my Instagram account that's called Oka's Diary with 4 A's. I'll see you next time. Please stay tuned. I would really like to share more videos about it. I want to be better at making video and talking, expressing what I want to share to my beautiful girls and even boys. I am excited and thank you for joining my journey. And once I started this journey, I know I can be better and I will be big. And I will be big, and I'm becoming big. Okay, thank you so much and see you in the next video.